I see more and more like kitchen cabinet drawers where their pocket holes screwed together. And at first you go, well, that's pretty shady craftsmanship. But then you start thinking about like, what do you actually see on these drawers? Because if you just did a butt jointed drawer, glued this together and run pocket screws down it, you can't really mess it up. So it's going to be a nice strong drawer. And on this, let's say this is a little bit bigger and we're going to cover this with a false front. You never see them anyway. It's like, well, you guys aren't lazy, you're actually pretty smart. Another way to do it that I love to do on drawers is I like to actually use a domino on it. And I talk about that in several classes. This is, we'll pass these around. You have to give these a back. These are like, this is like 15 cents I'm handing you. This is a domino. It's a piece of wood. So what we're doing is we're cutting a floating tenon, or we're cutting a mortise for a floating tenon, and that's going to go in there. I use dominoes and biscuits kind of interchangeably, depending on what project that I'm doing. So I could go right down the side of this with biscuits. So if I want to hook this together, I could do biscuits right down the side. It'd be pretty strong. It'd align it really well for the glue up so things aren't moving around. On this one, I actually used dominoes. There, we got that apart. So on this board, I have those dominoes already installed. This one is what that goes into. And then you see my one mistake? It happens. That's why I have this. So my first class yesterday, I was going along and actually had this and I was dominoing. I forgot to set my depth settings, so I ran the domino in, or the cutter into the end of my finger. And it didn't feel good either. So I just want to show you how quick you can go about doing this. So for this particular drawer, this will be my front. I need my sides to go all the way up. So if I put it together like this, when I put my false front on, you'd see front, the secondary front, and then the side. I want to run the side all the way up to my false front to hide that. And all I have to do is mark out where I want these things to go. So for this, I'm going to clamp this board in my vise like this. There we go. And then it's a matter of marking out my center points for where I want this thing to go. So we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here. On this side, I'm keeping them off the bottom because that's where my groove is going to go. You can measure this out if you want to be fair to everything. It looks like I have a few more here and a little wider spacing there. It's okay. And typically what I'll do is these come in different sizes. So this is the size I passed around to you, but this is the smaller size that I'm going to use for this one. A lot of times on these joints, the more of these that you pack in along the width, the stronger the joint's going to be. Fine Woodworking did an article on tenon strength, I don't know how many years ago, and the domino didn't look very good in it because pretty much they did, it wasn't a joint this wide by any means, but they put like 2 dominoes that far apart in it and went, oh, it came right apart. And the strength for this, if you want the strongest joint possible when you're doing this, whether you're doing a domino or you could also do this with a spline, just run a dado down in there, is just to pack as many of these things in as possible. So if I really packed them in, what am I going to get? 2, 4, 6. I could get 10 across this width with this size. But, you know, at 15 cents a piece, you know, 6 is good enough for who it's for. So on this particular one, this is about the spacing we're going to get. So it's probably more than enough. With this material too, these are stronger than the wood around it. These are out of beech and this is box elder. So that's not going to be a problem. So for the actual machine, it looks a lot like a biscuit joiner. And instead of the little circular saw blade to cut out pockets for the biscuit footballs, it has what basically is it's a upcut spiral router bit. And you can get different sizes to put in this. This is the 6 millimeter. For the ones I'm using, I need to go down to the 5 millimeter. Lock this in place. See. Plug it in. Get dust collection. All right. Ready? So it spins just like a drill bit or a router bit, but then this is wobbling back and forth. And I have 3 settings on the top. So right now this setting it would be a tight mortise side to side. So it would be like these guys where they just go in tight. I can open it up a little bit or I can make it really, really wide. And that's what that's doing. So I like to show this because this technology is not going away. Some people just flat out don't like Festool. I'll agree it is not cheap. But what I've seen with biscuit joiners throughout the years, no one's putting more money or development into biscuit joiners. What they're trying, the opposite is happening. You're seeing them rush to the low end of the market where how can we economize these and compete against everyone else that's selling them for almost nothing. And when the patent runs out on this, everyone's going to have one. Did you notice a few years ago the multi-tool, all of a sudden everyone has one? What do you think happened? Patent ran out for, was it Fine? Fine's patent ran out. Same thing happened with the biscuit joiner. When Lamella's patent ran out, everyone rushed to the market and had a biscuit joiner. So it's just a neat thing because you can do stuff like this, but you can also do door frames with it, for an example. I could biscuit this together. It's going to be strong. It's not going to be quite as strong because I can't put as many biscuits along that edge. So it's just a fun thing to do if you can avoid running it into your finger. So if I'm a little gun shy here, that's what's going on. My depth setting is right on the side. So initially, I do want this set on 20 millimeters. Because what I'm doing is I'm cutting a little bit more into the front and back than I am into the sides, because if I cut all the way through the sides, then I do that, and I don't want that. So. So now I have these guys cut. And for this, I'll actually glue these in place. if I have a bigger domino or a loose tenon that I'm putting in here, I need to actually put quite a bit of glue in. For these small ones, it's just a little dab. So what I do is I just run a little bit of glue along one face of the mortise, run more glue around the back face, and after a few uses, you have a pretty good gut feeling for how much is enough glue and how much is too much glue. Really what I want to do is drive these home and not have glue just spill out all over the place on me. So that's putting that part of the joint together. Now when it comes time to cut the other side, I have to stand that up. Double check my markings. Stand this guy up. Okay, this is what I missed the last time. Set it so the bit doesn't go through the wood. And so very quickly, I can knock a drawer together. Maybe. Now I'll probably never get it apart to actually glue it together, but that's how fast you can put that together. And so this is something I really like doing because, of course, a lot of the stuff I'm building is prototype stuff where you don't know what size it is, so you can very quickly put that together.